The warning. Phase 1. The seed is planted when opposites attract. Can you dig it? It takes the physical to create the physical. Phase 2. The flower blossoms through what seems to be a concrete surface, i.e., greed, racism, insanity, physical and social handicaps. These are the things that mold the flower. Red rose or black rose, no in between. Phase 3, the judgment. If it were to fall upon you today, which flower would you be, the red rose or the black? This is the warning.
All right, welcome to another episode of What's on Your Mind, unapologetic, live for you and yours. As always, I give honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow, and we always want to thank you for allowing us to come into your homes. I am Brother Malachi, along with the man ready to get down, Mr. Jermaine Brown. And we want you to get by your phones because I know you're going to want to get in on this conversation. You're going to have a lot to say. And so, without further ado, we're going to just go hard. We don't sugarcoat anything here. We just bring you pure, unadulterated truth. And so, Mr. Brown, I'm going to toss it off to you. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to thank you, brother. Breaking news, breaking news.
Okay, here we go.
All right. In case you guys haven't been around or haven't heard in the last, say, 2 hours, the NFL and Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed has settled the collusion case.
Collusion case.
That Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed filed against the NFL.
Okay.
Now, from my understanding, it's a massive payout.
How big a payout are we talking?
Well, the thing is, the terms and everything is secret because basically it's non-disclosed. Basically, neither side can talk about it.
All right. Pending,
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Pending litigation. I got him.
So basically, it ends a 2-year standoff between the NFL and Colin Kaepernick.
Well, I don't understand why it was a standoff in the first place, but we won't have to go there. Will he come back to play football?
Well, I doubt it, but here's the thing. They basically, in my view, they paid him to go away. Now, let me explain to you why this was a good deal for both sides.
Yeah,
Both the NFL
I gotta hear this.
and Colin Kaepernick. And when I say Colin Kaepernick, I'm also including Eric Reed on that. So I don't want to disrespect Eric Reed by not mentioning his name. Because him and Colin Kaepernick are basically synonymous. They sing together. Okay, because they both filed the case together. They both were fighting against the NFL together on this. So if I just mentioned Colin Kaepernick, this is also including Eric Reed. But let me tell you why this was a good deal for both sides. Because, see, the NFL and Colin Kaepernick was about to go to court this upcoming month.
Right.
Okay? And the arbitrator was going to decide whether the NFL had colluded against Colin Kaepernick.
Which they did, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, right. But here's the thing. If the arbitrator had declared that, Kaepernick would have been looking at triple the damages he would have received, as well as a decertification of the CBA agreement, which means now that all the players in the NFL would have benefited from this ruling.
All right.
So, by the NFL not allowing this to go to court, the NFL won. Now, from what I'm hearing, and again, there's nothing to verify that this is the case.
So it's rumored.
It's just rumored that it's anywhere from 50 to about 100 million he received.
That's it?
Well, you figure.
Well, forgive me for sounding so, forgive my ignorance, arrogance, whatever you want to, as if $100 million is something to sniff at, but still.
Let's just say 50 million.
50 million is something to sniff at, but still, with all he's been put through, with the injustices that he suffered, okay, the humiliation, I'm going to say, all that tort law defines as, rhyme and reason why you should sue. I don't understand why 50 to $100 million, that's nothing compared to what he should be getting. You're right. He should be getting triple that.
Well, you see, here's the thing.
Here we go.
Well, there's two things we got to take into account.
All right.
Number one, that's more money than what he's ever made.
Okay.
Okay, you got to take that into account. Number two, and this is why I said this was a good deal for both sides, because even if he taken it to court, there's no guarantee that the arbitrator would have ruled in his favor.
Yeah, the arbitrator could have been easily the whore of the NFL.
Bingo. And if that be the case, now Cap gets nothing. Well, at least by settling, he gets something out of it. One of my mentors has this saying: 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Well, of course.
So you got to look at it this way, because remember, collusion is still hard to prove. Now, the arbitrator admitted in a pre-hearing that he had a legitimate case. But again, there's still no guarantee the arbitrator would have ruled in his favor. Now, the odds were in his favor. That's why the NFL said, let's settle this now. They take the hit, okay, the financial hit. They pay off his lawyers. They pay, his lawyer fees, all that other good stuff. And he clears about $50 million. So let's just say $50 million, which is on the low end of that 50 to 100 million scale that I heard about. Now, again, it could be more, it could be less. My guess is it's probably within the 50 million range.
Well, look, some money is better than no money.
Right, and think of it this way. Let's assume it's 50 million. He just cleared 50 million and he never took a hit, physically.
Right.
That makes him very smart.
Very.
Okay?
But what about...
Now, some people will say, well, you sold out the movement.
Do you think you could possibly make him a target?
A target of what?
Well, I, noticed, can't prove it directly, but I can't help but notice that a number of very notable celebrities in 2016 all came down with a severe case of death after they had won hard-fought legal cases previous.
Well, I'm
not gonna go there. I just gotta put that there, man.
I'll leave that to you to decide that. I'm
just saying.
I'm not gonna get into that, but I will say this. Again, this is a win for both sides. Now, the person who ultimately came out the big winner in this is Cap, and here's why.
Well, I'm happy for him, and albeit he may never see this broadcast, I will say congratulations to you, Mr. Colin Kaepernick, in the spirit of so many great men and women who put their integrity and their steadfastness first and their faith in God first, depending on what you believe in. All right, I congratulate you on your victory. Go ahead.
Right. Here's why I said he was the big winner in this. Even though, like I said, both sides came out ahead. Here's why he was the big winner in this. It doesn't necessarily validate his claim that he was colluded against, but it definitely shows that it was not an invalid claim. That's the first thing. Second, anytime you can make money in your profession without having to do your profession, that's actually a good thing.
That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, imagine you being at home and you get a ruling like this, because remember, they quote unquote prevented him from working.
Right.
So by them quote unquote preventing him from working, now all of a sudden he gets a large size check. Here you go. And you remember, you're still at home. So you think about it. He got the Nike deal. So he made money there. He won there. So he was already making money off the NFL even before the NFL decided to squash this case. Once he signed with Nike, and Nike has a deal with the NFL, he was technically making money off the NFL anyway. Yes. So it was smart for the NFL to finally put the kibosh on this litigation case. Okay? And he came out the big winner. Now, there's going to be someone who's going to say, oh, but you sold out the movement. Let me explain something to you, folks. For any movement to be successful, money has to be involved.
Thank you.
You can't have a successful movement if there's no money.
Thank
I'm sorry.
you.
That's the reality.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay? Show me one movement that took place where there was no money involved. And I'll show you a movement that didn't go very far.
And I can help you with that, Mr. Brown. I know plenty.
Okay?
Don't get me to start testifying. Damn.
I mean, listen, folks. So, Kaepernick, he felt aggrieved because basically he felt like he was being prevented from working because he took a knee, which to me, he was. To me, the NFL handled this just totally wrong to begin. They made that man famous.
They did.
Made him more famous than what he would have ever been had they not punished him.
And I agree. It was akin to the entire aspect of Muhammad Ali, late great Muhammad Ali, who refused to be inducted into the Vietnam War, and rightfully so. And albeit he suffered a few years, he lost his prime years in boxing and was taken care of by people behind the scenes, most notably the late, great Joseph William Frazier, who gave him $2 million, which is why Mr. Frazier was that's another story, but they wound up settling their differences in time. But I'm making a point. Muhammad Ali, his celebrity transcended just boxing. For me, it's his image, and what totally got him over as far as greatness was concerned is seeing a young 26-year-old young man, properly suited and booted, sitting before a judicial senate and rope-a-doping all these idiots who can start wars, but draft their sons and daughters were draft dodgers anyway. So Colin Kaepernick is amazing. His resiliency and his ability to stay focused, and the people were behind him.
Yeah, see, you think about it. Had Kaepernick tried this, say, 40, 50 years ago, he would not be nearly as successful. Because, see, pre-internet, Kaepernick wasn't the first to take a stance in sports.
Right.
And he won't be the last. But the way the league handled it, it was just that. Because you think about this. Tom Brady, for those who watch football, and I'm not a Brady fan, but I have the utmost respect for Tom.
Who, the Ken doll? I call him Ken.
Okay, Tom Brady, who's the quarterback of the New England Patriots, for those who don't know, he's going to go down, he's going to go down as the greatest quarterback of the era, but definitely he's in that discussion for those who believe in it. I'm not a believer in that greatest of all time because that requires then assuming that the rules were the same regardless of the era, which then rules never are the same.
Well, how about he's been the most successful?
Well, no, but let's just say he goes down as the greatest of all time in quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. But he will not be remembered the way Colin Kaepernick will be, say, 20, 30, 40 years down the road.
And I agree.
And if you are the NFL, that has to eat you up because you think about this, folks. Before Kaepernick took the knee, before Kaepernick was blackballed, who was really Colin Kaepernick? Most people wouldn't even know who he was.
You're right. Absolutely.
Think about that, folks. Now, he took a knee, which gave him a platform on the national stage. People noticed. People started asking questions. And whether you think it was right for him to do it or not, that's not right now debatable or in debate. But here's the thing. You could say, well, he went about it the wrong way or he did it about the right way. You could have, that's another argument for another day. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. If the NFL did not blackball him, and the NFL blackballed him, folks.
Call it what it is.
You cannot sit here and say that man has been out of the game for 2 years because of his play on the field. You can't sell that. Because when I look at half the quarterbacks in the NFL today, half of them are not better than Colin Kaepernick.
Garby OGO.
We have a caller.
Oh, they are Garby OGO. All right,
Hello?
caller. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm calling in for the show.
Yes, you're on the show.
Hey, what's up, brother Malachi?
Hey, Mr. Mark. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, well, we got a lot on the table, man. We got a lot on the table. You know, you got Kaepernick, you know, and you know that big deal and all of that. Where you know we talking right, but the whole thing about it, we gotta look a little bit beyond the news too, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate to call people sellouts or quick to put their signature on a check. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's something behind all of that. You know what I'm saying? Something shaky. That's all I got to say on that part. You know, with a football deal, basketball deal. You know, all right, if they're paying somebody $50 million, you got how much the owners are making, man?
Or saving.
You know what I'm saying? You got to look at basketball. You know, Jordan, you know, he signed to Nike. Yeah, he's getting a big cut out of the whole Jordans, but how much is Nike really making off of all these ghetto kids that's living in the ghetto? Their parents are working so hard to buy them a pair of Nike Jordan sneakers for $200-300 a pop. So you got to understand, we got to look way beyond the news, man.
And I agree with you, Mark.
It's just like Gucci with the whole black face. Now, lately, everybody got a black face. I'm hearing Katy Perry, she put out a black face shoes. You know, like, come on. This is coming back. So you got Gucci now, another $1 billion company. And then you got Floyd Mayweather talking about, oh, you don't see nothing wrong with it, you know. And he's going to go spend $200,000 right now on Gucci. How does that look for inner youth kids? I know what Brother Brown was trying to get at, you know, is the money part. And, yeah, he's making money, but, you know what I'm saying, with Kaepernick. But, hey, you know, people want to make their money, but it is a lot beyond that in society of today. It's not just about making money. You understand? What about the poor, regular kids that live in the hood and all these things that's looking at all of these, reading the newspaper, going on social media, seeing all these kind of news or whatnot and all these kind, and how do they feel and how do they fit themselves in? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, yeah, it's good. Whoever's making money is good. You know what I'm saying? But you got to look way beyond sometimes certain situations of the way things is going down.
Well,
you know, sometimes I look on the... go ahead, Brother Brown.
No, I was going to say this. Well, if you think about it, you mentioned about the kids in the neighborhood, in the poor neighborhoods, right?
Right, go ahead.
Who do they idolize?
Well, they idolize... You want me to answer?
Yeah, no, you can answer. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. They idolize people like basketball players. They idolize football players, baseball players. They idolize basically your sports. Then they move on to the entertainment, like the music. You know what I'm saying? All your hip hop stars, all your pop stars. You know. Then they idolize movie stars. Their favorite movie. So everything that mostly that their kids them idolize in the neighborhoods has to do with entertainment.
Well,
that's number one.
You're missing one thing, though.
Hold on a minute. They don't idolize nobody that's academic. You got to understand. Look how many things are happening in Black History Month right now to distract us from Black History Month, which only we get 28 days. You got Kaepernick coming out of the story. You got the blackface story. You got this girl in New Jersey that was on the news. She got kicked out of school for wearing a head wrap. That they kicked her out of school because they said the head wrap that she was wearing it looked too how can I say, you know, it doesn't
too ethnic,
look appropriate in the so you got so much distraction that's happening on February on a Black History Month. And then you got so much distractions that's going on, and you're not getting the academia of Black History Month. That's where I'm coming at. So the kids, they put their more concentrations on entertainment.
Also, don't forget, they also idolize drug dealers.
Yeah, they idolize drug dealers. They idolize everything but somebody. How many kids that grow up and say, hey, I want to be like Martin Luther King. I want to be like Malcolm X. Or I want to be like Albert Einstein. Or I want to be the next future scientist. Or I want to fly a plane. I want to be an engineer. No, every kid that you talk to, every second kid in the hood, yo, I'm gonna be the next rap star. I'm gonna be popping college. I'm gonna, the drug dealer, he got a Mercedes Benz. I'm gonna get a Benz. So what I'm trying to say, Kaepernick is and these football players, they no different than the regular drug dealer, because when they sign that contract, they get a couple mil. Who you think they start acting like? They start balling like a drug dealer.
Well,
They start wearing all the gold chains, the gold watches, the diamond this, get the fancy cars, get the girls, going to the strip club. So they go right back in the hood and be like, look, I'm flossing now. They don't invest in their money. A person asked Shaq O'Neal, they asked him a question, 5 years from now, Shaq, you retire, what you going? You know what Shaq said? Man, I'm going to invest my money, because 90% of the time, basketball, football players, and all these entertainment stars, they go broke within 5 years. Is that true, Mr. Brown?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, because they don't
especially
invest
football players.
So why would I want to idolize somebody that I know 5 years from now you're going to be a drug addict? How many basketball players do you know that end up hitting Skid Row?
Well, you see, you understand that people with short-term memory. We don't look down the road. We look at right now.
Well, whose fault is that to blame? Whose fault is that to blame? And say, oh, we got short-term memory or what? So sometimes, yeah, we blame this and this and that, but we got to take control of our own sometime, man.
thank you, Mark.
No, you're
You know
right,
what I'm saying?
Mark.
We got to take control of our own to put this in gear, man, because how many times, years after years after years after year, we going to keep saying the same old scene? You know what I'm saying?
Thank you,
All
Mark.
right, we're going to march, no justice, no peace. The kid got shot. This kid got hurt. This, that. The same old scenario, man.
Thank you, Mark.
And we contribute over probably $1 trillion or more to this country network, every 5 years or more. We annually is like $1 billion plus, blacks and Hispanics contribute to this country, man. And they don't got a flag of their own. They fall on the American flag. But then when Trump speaks about it, he's talking about, if I don't get my money, I'm going to do another shutdown. And he just jacked it up. He want $8 billion. So what's $50 million compared to $8 billion when these bigger heads is looking? That's what I'm looking at. Like, all right, if the NFL player, look at Jay-Z. He had part of the Brooklyn Nets, and he sold this shit.
Okay, I want to speak about that.
And thanks for calling in,
Thank
Mark.
you for calling in, Mark. I want to speak about that Jay-Z selling his shares in the Brooklyn Nets.
All right, peace, my brother.
Jay-Z sold you guys a bill of goods. What do I mean? Did he really own the Nets? Let's talk about that.
Did he have a piece of the Nets? Yes. Did he own them? No.
When you say a piece of the Nets, how much you think you're talking? How much of a piece you think he's talking?
Well, I'm going to just guesstimate compared to, I'm using Mark's schematic. If he had 5%, I'm still not going to knock that.
5%?
Or even, I said 5%. But now if it's more, then by all means, put.
No. How about less than 1% of the Nets he owned? Less than 1% of the Nets he owned, folks. Think of it this way. We got to start asking ourselves this question. If he owned a good portion of the Nets, why would you sell that to become a sports agent? That's a step down. That's not a step up. So when he sold his portion of the Nets, that should have told you he had a minute stake in the Nets. From my understanding, I got some friends who could have bought his shares of the Nets. Let me put it to you that way. He basically paid little to nothing for his shares. Okay. And what he did is Prokhorov, who's the real owner of the Nets, Miguel Prokhorov, used Jay-Z because of his likeness, his face, to promote the Nets because Jay-Z, hey, most people know who he is. Most people don't know who Prokhorov is. So they use Jay-Z as the face of the Nets. When in actuality, and they allowed Jay-Z for his little contribution to sit courtside, with Beyonce and hobnob with athletes. But the reality is, folks, he barely owned any shares of the Nets. That's the truth. Now, Mark was right on a lot of things he was saying here tonight. And I'm going to tell you how you fix the problem. What we have to teach our young children in these neighborhoods is that ownership matters. When you don't own anything, you are a slave to everything. Because just think about it. Mark mentioned about these $1 million athletes and these entertainers. They really are slaves to their bosses. They're just high-paid slaves. That's the reality. Because if you don't own, if you have no ownership, you have really little stake in it. Michael Jordan has ownership. He owns the Charlotte Hornets.
Yes, he does.
Okay? He owns them. So he's making billions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. So yes, Kaepernick will never make what the owners are making. So yes, Kaepernick, let's say he got $50 million, those owners kept or saved over $1 billion or close to $1 billion when it's all said and done.
Yes.
That's the reality.
Their attorneys did the math and said, look, guys, we stand to lose more
by fighting this than we do to just close this out.
And not to mention the fact that he does have a movement behind him.
Right. And billionaires didn't become billionaires by being stupid. Okay? Now you can say, oh, well, a lot of this was passed down, but still, they got proper education on how to handle those money. That's why they could still maintain their wealth, even though it got passed down. But here's the thing. How many of us in our neighborhoods have ownership? Do we own the properties that we live in? No, we mostly rent.
Not at all.
We rent. So when you rent, you are a slave to the landlord.
Well, let's not forget, we had, the bombing of Black Wall Street, the disruption of everything.
Yes, but I'm talking even today.
And bring it up to date. Let's bring it up to speed. When you have everybody with this me individualism, that's our, that's another story.
Right. And so there's this thing, divide and conquer. So the fact that you have no ownership, you really are at the whims of other people.
Right. And whose fault is that? I'm with Mark. Thank you, Mark.
That's our fault.
It's our fault. Thank you, Mark. Seriously. Now, this is very I mean, hey, I came in today, and you know what? Some of you out there, you don't love us like I thought you do. Sometimes you see me up here dozing off on live TV, and you don't call in and wake me up. What kind of fans are you? Huh? What kind of viewers are you? But back on a serious note, though, I just find it troubling, and I'm going to pray for Mr. Colin Kaepernick's safety. I really am, Mr. Brown. I really am. I'm worried about him now. When you get a victory of this magnitude and this popularity, I'm just worried about him.
I don't think the NFL will go that route. It doesn't pay for them to go that route.
And I pray he'll be okay.
He'll be okay. He'll be okay. Trust me, because the NFL have no interest in trying to do something like that.
It's not about the NFL. There are other forces out here.
It's really about the NFL because they're the ones who's paying him. So
no. I'm saying that there are other forces that own the NFL, control the NFL.
No. The NFL, the owners control the NFL. There's other forces that don't control the NFL. Okay. Now Congress, they're all in partnership with the NFL. But you can best believe, if you are an owner in the NFL, you are one of the partners of the NFL. The NFL these sports leagues are their own separate entities
Yes,
they're a
they.
collective.
Yes, they are.
And they're going to operate their business as such. Now, obviously, they're going to have agreements with Congress. So, because when you get all these tax breaks and tax deals, Congress is going to have a say in how you operate your business.
You gotta grease those palms.
Okay? So that's just the reality. But the reality is the NFL, they have no incentive. Because if they wanted to, they could have eliminated him before he ever got the settlement. That would have been even easier.
No, but time will tell.
No,
That's,
here's the reality, folks. Here's the reality. And, you might have someone who will be disappointed with Colin did by, agreeing to the deal.
He should. Look, there come a time where you have to cut your losses. There come a time when a compromise, because who's to say he doesn't have certain projects he wants funding for and he wants to take off. A nice infusion of 50 million plus can get those said projects done. All right, there come a time you got to cut your losses and call it a day. Okay? It's people are watching, So if you've proven your point, you stood your ground, and those who you fought want to throw an olive branch your way, you know how it'll look if you don't take that olive branch? Do you know how it'll look in the big picture? Yeah, people might say, oh, he didn't sell out. And everybody who's talking about he sold out. Were you giving him any money? Were you financing him through a GoFundMe? A lot of you out there, you talk a lot of caca. But if you were given the opportunity to be given $50 to $100 million, as Mr. Brown just articulated, wherein it's money that has no condition that you did put forth an effort and your integrity, you take that money too. It's called take the money and run. It's also called a helping hand is a helping hand, whether clean or dirty. All right? And in the immortal words of Kenny Rogers, you gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away. Joining y'all, know when to run. You can't count.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
It
right.
is what it is, okay? And in the immortal words of Gordon Gekko, when your elephant comes in, take your opportunity. It's about power, information, how to use it, how to utilize it. All right? There are bigger pictures even within Colin Kaepernick's complexities. So don't say he sold out. It's called time. It's called a time. Now, I know you didn't want to go this route on this particular subject.
Well, hold
Mr.
on.
Brown.
Well, now that you went there, like about the, funding or helping, like donating to him, I want to talk about something that I'm finding very troubling.
Go.
And this is segueing away from Colin Kaepernick.
All right.
I noticed, because now you got the presidential election coming up.
Okay.
You have a few African American candidates running for president. Kamala Harris and Cory Booker being the two.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I had no idea Mr. Booker threw his...
Yes, he threw his hat in the ring.
Okay, here we
Now,
go.
he went on the Breakfast Club, and for those who are familiar, the Breakfast Club is a very popular show. And Charlemagne the God asked him this question: what's your agenda for the black community? And Corey laughed, and oh my God, why did he do that? He took a beating for laughing. But I'm going to say this. Here's what I would love for a politician to say when they ask, like let's say I'm a politician and I want to run, or I'm running for president or whatever. And they say, well, Jermaine, what's your agenda for the black community? You know what I would like to say? What I would want to say?
I'm listening.
My agenda for the black community. Well, how much is the black community donated to me? So now let me get this right. You want me to do all of this for the black community, but the black community is not willing to lift a finger to help fund me to do these things? I got all these other organizations, the LGBTQ community, this community, that community, all funding my campaign.
Who understand business? Who understand?
But you're not going to fund my campaign, but you want me to give you something. Do you think that's fair? Now, Cory Booker don't have the heart to say it. I would love to say it, though. But that's the truth. If you're not going to fund me, don't ask me for anything. If you're not going to donate to my campaign, don't ask me for anything. We donate the least, but yet expect the most.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, because we always want to know, well, because if you notice, why you think you got all these candidates who'll go down and they'll eat with us or they'll do all of this to try to get our votes? Why are they doing all that?
We have a phone call, Mr. Brown. We're going to find out. Maybe. Caller, you on the air.
Yeah, brother, this is Brother Mark again.
Hey, Brother
Okay.
Mark.
I want to ask your brothers a question. I had a call back. How do y'all brothers feel about Umar Johnson and the school that, he's been working on to open it and to get this in the community and to give back, they got their pros and cons with it. I'm pro with Brother Umar, because he's trying to strive to bring back something that we need in our community.
You want to take it?
Go ahead, you go first.
All right, here we go. First and foremost, I'm going to say this here about Mr. Umar Johnson. I applaud his campaign. I applaud, over the years, his dedication. I do see how he's been so viciously excoriated and criticized. And and when Mr. Brown, believe it or not, before Mark called in, as you were giving that scenario you just gave, I was thinking about him. I thought about him, Mark. It's in perfect timing. And as far as I'm concerned, I want to say if he successfully now found a place to develop his school and his pet, and there are people who've come aboard, then great. I have nothing against the man. I'm not gonna. I for one don't want to criticize anyone, and I'm not doing anything better or equal to.
You got to understand what Brother Brown was bringing out. He's talking about Cory Booker. That's a politician talking about he's going to run for presidency. He's going to this. He's
But
trying
first
to
of
make
all-
New Jersey great again. But when he said that, that's why Umar Johnson came back to me, because I wanted to mention him earlier. But Brother Umar, I know the brother. I've been tracking him for a while, and I'm like, yo, this looks like a good brother. I mean, he on the Pan-Africanism, and he on that boat, he on that train ride. I got to give him props, and, But Cory Booker, I'm not, he's on the politician side, meaning that when they talk about schools, he's not going to talk about an all-black school. He's going to talk about an integration of schools. When he's going to talk about integration of things. That's how politicians work.
That's not true, Mark. I'm gonna let me respectfully correct you that Cory Booker was very successful at one point in his mayoralship in Newark, New Jersey, over Newark, New Jersey. Oh, he was quite successful in challenging the state of New Jersey in regards to.
Yeah, well, I've been tracking him too. I know Cory Booker. He's been challenging the Supreme Courts in New Jersey and certain legislation that's been passed and been handed about under the table. He's been challenging them a lot. That's why they don't mess with him. And he still lives in the hood as a politician.
Listen.
He deals with people in the hood.
Cory Booker is done as a
I
candidate.
give him respect for that. I'm not throwing the man under the
You
bus
say
now.
he's done?
He's done as a politician. He's done as a presidential candidate. He will not win, and I'm going to tell you why.
I'm listening.
All right, go ahead. Let's hear that.
He was caught on tape when they asked about the. Now, he was talking to a bunch of white folks, so keep that in mind. Remember with the whole incident with the governor there in Virginia with the blackface.
Okay.
So he was asked about, the rising.
Hang up. I hear you through his TV, brothers. All right, peace, my brothers.
Okay. He was asked about the rising situation going on with blackfaces, white folks dressing up in blackfaces. And he came out and said, well, we have to see things from white people's perspective. No, you cannot say that, brother. That's a no-no. Why do we have to see things from white folks' perspective when that is a clear insult to black African Americans and blacks?
In what context did he say that?
Well, again, he was talking to a bunch of white people. So remember this. He's trying to get the white vote because you can't win the presidency without the white vote. So he was trying
a balance.
He was trying to play both sides here. Instead of just saying that wearing blackface is morally reprehensible, because that's the truth, he came out and said, well, we have to see it from white people's perspective. That they might not, because he tried to say, well, when I went to high school, in the high school, it was mostly homophobic. So when I went to, and this is what he said, I'm quoting him verbatim, as what he said. I ended up working at this crisis center and, this hotline, and basically my manager or my coworker was also gay. And this person called up and was threatening of committing suicide because,
Okay, he went someplace that he shouldn't have went. And if I had been one of his advisors, I would have told him, you better bridle your tongue. Bridle your tongue on that. Number one with a bullet. Let's look at it from Caucasian Americans' perspective regarding blackface, which was started by in the area of what they call minstrel shows, the most famous being Al Jolson. Okay, so let's look at the perspective. It's a mockery of black culture, a parody and an offensive parody, mind you, of supposed black living during the days of slavery and other unfavorable conditions that we suffered in this country. So when he said that was clumsy. I agree with you, Mr. Boy. He shouldn't. I would have told him to bridle his tongue and don't answer the question at all.
See, well, no, he has to come with an answer because he's one of the few black candidates in the race. So it's okay to be honest. Excuse me, and say, listen, it's morally reprehensible. Racism is a stain on our country. It's okay to say that.
Yes, bigoted racism. No, he has, and you know what? He has said that.
Well, I would have liked for him to have said that and left it at that. Why would you go into, well, I learned how to be, to see the other side when it comes to to gay people? Why would you say that?
What did that have to do?
Well, he was trying to make an analogy that sometimes we got to see things from other people's perspective.
Oh, so wait. So if someone was beating up on a homosexual, we have to look at it, the perpetrator's perspective. Mm-hmm. Okay, wow.
That's basically what he was saying.
Okay, that's really clumsy, sir. Wow.
That's basically what he was saying. But going back to my point, though, so if you're not willing to donate, if you're not willing to help a candidate, then don't ask anything of that said candidate.
Don't criticize them. Nothing.
See, because people think, okay, well, because there's this group out there. I don't know if you're familiar with them. It's called ADOS, the American Descendants of Slaves. that had become very popular. And basically they say, well, we want to see receipts, meaning we want to see what you did for the black community.
Right.
So what they want reparations. All right, let's say I'm a candidate running for president of these United States. Okay? I can promise you reparations, but there's only one problem. I can't deliver on that promise, and we have a call. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, hello.
I'm on the air.
Yes,
You are.
Right now, as I'm watching it, Mr. Brown's talking about Booker, the senator.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, you should know better than that, sir. You know, you got to lie to all these people. Look who's in the White House now. He tells lies here and there. He's just telling people what he wants, what he wants them to hear. So he's lying, and you got to, do that today to become president, unfortunately. And I think his connotation was their nature. I think they went over there as even white people's nature, how they think. I think that's what he was implying, sir.
Okay, but then how do you go back into the black community and ask for their votes? What do you say to them?
Well, you tell them how you really meant it, the connotation of what he said, that it's their nature. When somebody's intelligent enough to know that, they'll be able to decipher what he's saying.
So, but by you not saying it's morally reprehensible, what are you really saying?
I'm saying that to be president today, you have to manipulate people and convince different races of people that you're the best president. Unfortunately, that's how it goes today. Look who's in the office now, Donald Trump. Biggest liar there ever was.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
right.
Yeah.
It's called playing. It's called
so,
playing.
Mr. Brown, you're into stock or whatnot. I got a few dollars. Maybe I could give you my number and you can we can get together and
All right,
see if you
sir.
can help me out.
All right, do that then. That's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
Thank you, sir. You're a gentleman.
It's called.
Malachi, are you all right too?
Thank you, sir.
Peace. I'll be calling in from time to time.
Please
Okay,
do. Please do.
Or you could send an email to us and we will respond.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll flash that up, I guess, at the end of the show.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Can I call back to get the email?
Okay, I can give it to you right now, actually.
All right. Hold on 1 second.
So, Bob, and that goes for everyone else out there. Get your pens and pencils.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. I'm glad for Kaepernick, too. He deserved that money. Okay, what is this, sir?
WOYM, so that's basically what's on your mind.
WOYM?
Right, WOYM, BronxNet at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Right, so it's what's on your mind, BronxNet at gmail.com, but it's just the initials, WOYM, BronxNet.
All right, that's BX or spell Bronx out all the way?
No, Bronx all the way out, BRONX, net.
Okay, sir.
No problem. So you email us and then we will respond. That goes for anyone.
Thank you, caller.
All right. All right, bless you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And bless you as well. So,
Bye-bye.
you think, so overall, you think Cory Booker is done?
I actually do think Cory Booker is done. I think he boxed himself into a situation that he's going to... Because first of all, when Charlamagne the God asked him, what is your agenda for the black community? What's your policy is going to be for the black community? And you laughed? That tells me you wasn't expecting that question. That tells me you don't really have a real agenda. Now, here's the problem. How do you go to black people and say, hey, I want your votes? Well, I don't really have an agenda for you.
But what do black people want?
Well,
What do they want?
that is a good question.
What do they want?
That is a very good
Because in
question.
2019, I'm confused on what the hell we want.
That's a very good point and a very good
Seriously.
question you bringing up there, bro.
Seriously.
I mean, look. If I was a politician, here's what I would tell you. I'm going to go from the $15 hour national minimum wage, which we should have had. Okay? Secondly, help with the funding for HSB, for the historically black colleges, HSBCU colleges.
Which Barack Obama took about $800 million from what I understand. But we won't go there, though.
Okay?
Another time.
Here's the thing.
Another time.
Here's the thing. We got to do something about criminal justice in this country. The way we go about locking people up, like people who commit misdemeanors should not be serving time with people who are felons.
I agree.
Okay? Come on. We got to figure out a way to resolve that.
But it's the jail culture, Mr. Brown. It's what they
Right.
do.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Also, what we have to do is we have to start holding the police force accountable. They cannot, now see, this is why I will not get elected. Because when I simply say they cannot be above the law, that will not work.
Well, first of all, they're only above the law because the bosses who are their governors, their mayors, their senators are all aiding and abetting them. See, the police are only the tip of the iceberg. Okay?
Right. I don't blame the police force itself.
But you understand, Mr. Brown.
The culture of it needs to change.
No, we've had this discussion, Mr. Brown, before. Look, there's a case out in L.A. right now. A young man, I believe, was sleeping in his car, and they killed him while he was asleep. A couple of police officers approached his car. Someone thought he was suspicious, and they killed the man who was sleeping in his car. But we'll move. But my point is, look, that go without saying. The entire gamut of law enforcement, from the foot soldier police officers to those who are their bosses, the entire judicial body needs to be overhauled, destroyed, and then rebuilt. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Go ahead.
No, you're right, but I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. But again, if you're not willing to donate, then what do you want from me?
Okay, how about this? If you're not willing to, and I'm not talking about donation of money, we're donating your time. You get your behind up off your duff and you do something. That's the greatest contribution too. Besides your money. You get behind that person that you want to have things done, and you help he or she.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is going to be the money, because here's why. You may physically help me in other areas.
No, I said the money is a part of it. But also, when you bring your money, bring your energy, bring your ideas, bring your industriousness.
In other words, you got to actually be like a lobbyist. A lobbyist brings that briefcase full of money, and they expect things to get done. They tell you what they want done. That politician is going to do it because why? Here's the briefcase.
Mm-hmm. Show me the money.
Show me the money. Okay? Good movie, by the way.
Bottom line. So, that's what we need to do. 2019, and we still talking about the same old issues from, like as Mark said, from 50 or more years ago. It's disgraceful. Our lack of political savvy, our lack of political muscle that we so willingly give away to because you have a bunch of old time donkey, no account, so-called black leaders leading us to nowhere and training us to always acquiesce and beg instead of taking what we need. How about that? Or blaming someone else for holding us back when we're our own problem. But don't say that though, right? No, I'm going to say it. It needs to be said. I could count maybe on 5 people's hands who've ever showed up in regards to police rallies, in regards to PTA meetings. And the list goes on and on, but we always want something. But don't put anything behind the agenda we want fulfilled. You're right, Mr. Brown. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I mean, here it is, you have a show like this here, and I'm gonna beat some of y'all in the head with this. From Rush Limbaugh, if he's still on the, I don't know if he's on the air or not, but Sean Hannity, you name them, Megyn Kelly, you name them. They have people who support them. I've watched their shows, and from start to finish, they have callers who call in and participate. Some of you out there, you watch the show religiously and you don't call in. Utilize and use what you have. It goes a long way. As I'm Mr. Brown, we ain't quit our day jobs. But the painstaking research, out-of-pocket expenses that we incur to come here week in and week out, the payoff is listening to you call in. We always complain about the so-called major channels ignoring our issues. And when you have a vehicle like this, you don't use it. Why are we not being talked about? What the? Shh. Just be quiet. Because if you're not getting up off your duff and just dialing a number, don't complain about the so-called major channels and why they don't discuss our issues. It's not their goddamn responsibility to do so. How about that? How about that? And if you're not going to support your own issues and enforce your own issues, why should anyone else? If you're going to let people run roughshod over you, hustle you, then that's your fault. It's our fault. We got a hard cut, huh? So that means we have to go now. We're over our time, apparently. And it's too bad we can't have a 2-hour show. This has been an episode of What's on Your Mind, the unapologetic series. I am Brother Malachi along with Mr. Jermaine Brown. We thank you for allowing us to come in your home. We thank those who behind the scenes believe in us and help us out. And with that, we're out of here.